Hey you, are you into torture videos? Because if you are, you're going to love this one. Because I'm going to put the squeeze on some frets with a half-ton arbor press. Oh baby. Hey everyone, it's Chris at Highline Guitars. Welcome to my YouTube guitar building channel. For those of you who are new to the channel, I hope that by the end of this video, I'll have earned your subscription. In today's video, what I'm going to be talking about specifically is I'm going to be pressing the frets into this guitar neck, and then I'm going to apply some Sutherland Wells Botanical Polymerized Tung Oil. So let's jump in and get started. The fret wire that I'm using for this guitar build is my go-to fret wire, Jescar stainless steel. And this particular wire has a crown dimension of 0.095 inches wide and 0.047 inches tall, which is a really good general all-around fret wire size. So what I'll do is I'll cut each fret wire to length, and I'll place those into a mahogany block that's been drilled and numbered so I keep everything organized. Since my fret slots are blind fret slots, which means they stop short of the edges of the fretboard, I have to cut off a little bit of the tang from each end of the fret wire before I install it. So I'm using a fret nipping tool to do that right here. I like to glue my frets into the slots using thin CA glue because not only does the glue firmly hold the fret into the slot, but it eliminates air gaps that might exist between the tang and the wood, which can contribute to dead fret. Before the glue has a chance to dry, I'll press it in using my arbor fret press. I'll let the CA glue cure for about 3 hours, then I'll come back with my Hosco fret nippers and nip off the excess fret wire that's overhanging the edge of the fretboard. My plan for these frets is to round over the fret ends rather than bevel them. So I'm just going to use my beveling file at a 90-degree angle and just scrape back the ends of the frets until they're flush with the edge of the fretboard. Now I'm ready to apply the finish. However, before I can do that, I need to install a handle to the heel. And I'm going to do that with a washer so that the handle is raised off of the heel and won't interfere with any of the finish that I'm about to apply. The product I'll be using to finish this guitar is Sutherland Wells Botanical Polymerized Tung Oil. It's just like their original polymerized tung oil. However, instead of using mineral spirits to thin it, they're using a citrus-based solvent. As a result, it has a very pleasant orange-like odor to it as you apply it. The best way to apply this finish is to follow the instructions that Sutherland Wells has on their website, and I'll include a link in the description below so that you can check it out. But in a nutshell, it's basically just a process of applying multiple coats, allowing 24 hours between coats, and then sanding with progressively finer grits to get the surface as smooth as possible. Now let me give you a tip that Sutherland Wells doesn't include in their instructions on their website, and that is when you're wiping off the excess, you want to use firm pressure with a clean cloth to remove as much of that oil as you possibly can. You'll think you're wiping it all off, but you're not. You're just spreading it into a thin film. Once you've done that, take another clean cloth and lightly wipe the surface, which will remove any rag marks that were left over from wiping off the excess in the first place, and you'll end up with a really smooth surface. After applying each coat, you're going to want to hang the neck to let it dry for 24 hours. When sanding between coats, you want to make sure that you get the surface as level as possible before applying the next coat. And you may think you're sanding through in some spots, and that's possible with some of the coarser grits. But as you move up and sand with progressively finer grits and apply more and more coats, that's less likely to happen. If you're enjoying this video, I would encourage you to like, comment, subscribe, and share the video. That always helps this channel to grow. If you'd like to do a little bit more and help support the channel financially, you can click the thanks button down below and leave a tip in the amount that you want. Also, you can visit my merch shelf, which is displayed below the description, and purchase a t-shirt, plans for building a guitar, or plans for building the tools that we use to build guitars. Now back to the video. To sand the finish between the frets, I'll use different sized wooden sanding blocks and wrap my sandpaper around it and then just sand across the grain. And even though that's a big no-no when it comes to sanding, it doesn't matter when you get to 400 grit and above, because you can't really see the sanding scratches that are being left by those finer grits. The number of coats that you'll apply with this type of finish really depends on the outcome that you're after. But the general rule of thumb that I follow is that the finer the grit that I sand to between each coat, the shinier the finish will get. So if I go to, say, 1500 grit, that surface is going to be considerably shinier than if I were to stop at, say, 800 grit. And of course, if your goal is a deep high gloss shine, you can take it to a buffing machine after you've sanded the surface with about a 1500 grit or finer and buff it out to a much shinier finish. Of course, if you want to polish the fretboard, it's a little bit more tedious in that you have to mask off each fret before you take it to the buffer. Otherwise, the frets will leave dark residue on the buffing wheels, which can be deposited directly onto the finish. And to prevent your shop from burning down, don't forget to dispose of those oily rags properly. Lay them out separately to dry completely, then immerse them into a container full of water. Okay guys, well that's all the time I have for this episode. In the next episode, which will be part 7 in this series, I'm going to be making the body for this guitar on my CNC machine, so be sure to check that out. In the meantime, as always, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you don't already subscribe, and if you have any comments or questions about what you saw in this video, post it down below and either I or someone in the community will try to answer it for you. And until the next episode, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.